In September of 1986, while on her first major world tour, Whitney Houston, daughter of renowned soul and gospel singer Emily "Sissy" Drinkard Houston, began recording her second studio album.
She just was awesome, I think, in the show of potential and talent. And there really has only been, perhaps one every generation that's come along in this manner.
Her first, eponymously titled body of work, pulled in mammoth sales and launched 4 international hits, all while the budding songstress was 22 years old. Impact was felt not only in the States, but across the globe, and in a year's time, she went from being a model to a role model, a far cry from the nippy who was shipped to an all-girls Catholic school to shield her from the grimy streets of East Orange. For her second album, Arista Records brass wanted essentially an imitation of her first, almost down to the title, with the only difference being that the first had her last name and the second didn't. Clive Davis, president and founder of Arista Records, didn't anticipate the backlash from critics and the African American community against music perceived as lacking soul. But as the adage goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Clive J. Davis was no repairman. The first song sent to Arista Records for potential placement on her sophomore effort was entitled Where Do Broken Hearts Go in September of 1986. Co-written by Chuck Jackson of The Independents and Frank Wildhorn, Clive and Whitney retorted with a letter requesting a bridge rewrite, while Whitney was hesitant about recording a song she felt had no depth. The first song recorded for the album, a cover of the Isley Brothers' For the Love of You, was recorded after one day of rest from the Greatest Love of All world tour. It marked the first time she multi-tracked her harmonies and ad-libs and was recorded at Nerida Michael Walden's Tarpan Studios in California. The next song recorded, written by the same duo behind How Will I Know, was described as a country and western rodeo song that Olivia Newton-John would have recorded. Entitled, I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me, super producer Nerida Michael Walden was unsure how to transform the song, but when Whitney got in the booth and added her own ad-libs and lyrics, the song came to a budding life. The following tracks recorded were a cover of the Manhattans' Just the Lonely Talking Again and Love is a Contact Sport. Sissy and Whitney re-recorded the chess standard I Know Him So Well. Aside from reuniting with Walden, Whitney also reunited with Michael Masser, who contributed 4 tracks on her debut. His contributions to her second album were Didn't We Almost Have It All, which was co-written by Masser and Will Jennings on and off for years, with the two running up over $200 in phone bills, and You're Still My Man. Kashif wanted Houston to remake Mother's Finest, Love Changes, but Clive Davis turned it down. He also turned down a chance to record I Just Can't Stop Loving You with the king of pop, Michael Jackson, for fear of overexposure. Instead, Kashif contributed the song Where You Are. The album also featured appearances from saxophonist Kenny G and Roy Ayers. Due to a successful dance remix of How Will I Know, John Benitez was tapped to produce an original dance song for the album. He brought in collaborator, lyricist Tony C. to write the lyrics. Whitney sang the lead and background vocals on the track and was credited as a vocal arranger. By February of 1987, the Greatest Love tour was over and her second album was nearly finished. She graced the cover of the February 16th issue of Jet magazine, and her article read, "For the last 2 years, Whitney Houston has had it all her way. Her self-titled debut album sold almost 12 million copies worldwide and brought her an audience that covers the spectrum of mankind. With all the accolades shown to her, it would be easy for her to have an ego the size of Mount Rushmore. Her family, she said, would not allow it. She recently explained that's because of the love her parents gave her. I know they will never change. Mama told me a long time ago that perfume is to be smelled, not drunk, so you just have to take it and know that everything you hear is not to be believed. Even though her debut album was one of the biggest sellers ever, Whitney said she is not afraid it will be too big of an act to follow. I am not apprehensive at all about the next album. I'm going in there and doing it just like the first one, with everything I've got, and trying to make it the best it can be. The following month, the video for the first single was shot in New York, and Clive requested an additional uptempo for the album, which resulted in the March 1987 recording of So Emotional.
Whitney Houston, the Grammy-winning singer, is pressing ahead to finish her second album, and Entertainment Tonight was invited to the making of her latest video for an exclusive behind-the-scenes glimpse. But the facts are filling in. The first single, I Want to Dance with Somebody. The album's title, simply Whitney. A release date is up in the air, but Whitney Houston told Entertainment Tonight's Paula McClure it may be available as soon as next month.
We're thinking about an end of April release. That's hopefully. Yeah.
One thing is certain, it's sure to become a hit. Houston's first LP, which was released 2 years ago, was the biggest-selling debut album in the history of the record business. And that fact has left many wondering why a second LP has been so long in coming.
It should be completely right, you know, and that's what it's all about, making sure it's the best it can be. Yeah.
An update on that release schedule for the new album. When contacted today, Arista Records, Houston's recording label, promises to deliver it to the stores by June 1st.
One track recorded for the album, Moment of Truth, written by Jan Buckham and David Bryant, was swapped for You're Still My Man. On May 2nd, Arista Records released the lead single from the set, entitled I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Arista Records is shipping the single early next week, but not every station will receive it at the same time. So Arista is including a contract forbidding stations from playing the song until Thursday morning. Well, disc jockeys say that they're caught in the middle. Fans want to hear a song right away, but the record company says no. In the past, some DJs have played songs ahead of schedule, but Arista says it will not happen this time.
Its B-side was Moment of Truth, which was another Nerda Michael Walden production with lyrics written by Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly.
This is the latest single. It's called I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. Yeah.
On May 15th, she performed in Montreal, Switzerland at the Montreal Gold Rose Rock Festival, and the following day, I Want to Dance with Somebody debuted on the Hot 100 at number 38. The following week, Whitney made her debut performance on the British music show Top of the Pops, performing I Want to Dance with Somebody. That same month, she also appeared with her mother on the ABC special Superstars and Their Moms, and they performed Me and You Against the World.
Me and you against the world. Sometimes it feels like me and you against the world. And for all the times I cry, I always know that God is on our side. So when one of us is gone and one of us is left alone, carry on. I know remembering we'll have to do. Our memories alone can get us through. Just think of all the days of me and you against the world. But please remember that life can be a circus. They'll underpay us and overwork you, and though we seldom get our due, but when each day is through, we'll take our tired bodies home and look around and know it's me and you and me and you against the
By then, I Wanna Dance With Somebody had jumped 10 positions on the pop charts. On June 2nd, 1987, her sophomore effort, Whitney, was released. By then, her first album had sold a staggering 12 or 13 million copies. Critics who noted the formulaic approach of her first release did not mince words in reminding readers that nothing had changed. The New York Times review had a headline that read, "Whitney Houston, she's singing by formula." The review read, in part, "Whitney plays everything safe. It uses 3 of the debut album's producers, narrator Michael Walden for uptempo pop, Michael Masser for swelling quasi-hymns, Kashif for a ballad, plus Jelly Bean Benitez, a club disc jockey turned producer who provides a Latin-tinged disco song for the new hot radio format. There are bouncy, tinkly songs aimed at teenagers, such as the album's first single, I Wanna Dance With Somebody, which recalls Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Wanna Have Fun and has not been an immediate smash, and slow tunes aimed at sentimental adults as before. The album's new element, a duet by Whitney and Cissy Houston, is hardly a surprise after their innumerable concerts together. Even the album title fits in with an Arista Records custom of separating female singers, Dion, Aretha, Carly, from their last name. The reviewer even took a dig at her vocals, saying, "For too many songs, she takes the patched-together style of the debut album further. Even lines sung in a single breath are broken up by timbre changes and odd emphasis, as if she were singing in a second language." Vince Aletti of the Rolling Stone had this to say about the album. "On one hearing, it's easy to dismiss Whitney Houston's new album as overcalculated, hollowed-out pop product, so suffocated by professionalism that only the faintest pulse of soul remains. But after several listens, it's nearly impossible to dislodge Whitney from your brain." Like Houston's debut, this is a mess of an album that succeeds despite itself. Instead of using Houston's initial triumph as a springboard to more challenging work, Davis and his producers have turned it into a luxury prison, an airless, inflexible, but expensively appointed cell designed to keep out new ideas. At its most stubborn and unimaginative, this approach results in new material barely distinguishable from Houston's old hits. I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, Whitney's first single release, was written by the same team, George Morel and Shannon Rubicam, and loved, produced, and arranged, as the credits have it, by the same producer, the ever-competent, never-surprising narrator Michael Walden, that scored with How Will I Know. Not taking any chances, the songwriters have simply devised a clever anagram of their original hit, and Walden has glossed it over in identically perky style. The strategy is not so different from that behind Hollywood's blockbuster sequels. This is How Will I Know Too. Another particularly scathing notice from the LA Times read, Rival executives would toast the foresight and dedication of Arista Records chief Clive Davis, who signed Houston when she was 19 and has personally supervised her recording career. Retailers will raise a glass to Houston herself, whose first album was the biggest selling debut ever by a solo artist, more than 14 million copies worldwide. And radio programmers will be wanting to congratulate producers Nerida Michael Walden, Michael Masser, and Kashif for once again coming up with a series of highly accessible selections that will work on a variety of radio formats. Numbers as irresistibly seductive as her earlier Saving All My Love for You, and as sweepingly sentimental as Greatest Love of All. But excuse me if I don't join in the celebration. It's much too early to declare that now the time is up on the question of Houston's artistry, but Whitney, for all its commercial sheen, does precious little to define the singer's vision. On that level, the album is a considerable disappointment. The Associated Press's Dolores Barkley had this to say of the album: the song material on Whitney can only be called light and pleasant. There is no depth and not much excitement. Nor does this extremely talented song stylist and Grammy winner take risks and try something daring. Another review by Rick Shevchik claimed there is an unappealing smugness about the project, from the familiarity of the title to the self-congratulatory tone of the extensive thank yous in the liner notes. Despite these mixed to negative reviews, the album debuted at number 1 on the Hot 200. Within 1 week of release, it sold over 1 million copies globally, making it the fastest selling album by a female artist and the first album by a female artist to debut at number 1. By June 27th, I Wanna Dance With Somebody was the number 1 song in the US, her 4th consecutive number 1 hit on the Hot 100. On July 4th, in Tampa, Florida, at Tampa Stadium, Whitney Houston kicked off the American leg of her second world tour. The Tampa Bay Times said about this performance, the leggy former model looked stunning. Her smile lit up the stadium. Although not overtly showy, she had a confident stage presence. Her voice was a wonderful combination of silkiness and power. She improvised considerably more than on her 2 tightly produced studio albums, reaching for the heavens with her falsetto, soul shouting on her opening song, How Will I Know, cooing luxuriously on her first ballad, You Give Good Love. Miss Houston mixed hit material from her hugely successful debut album with not so yet popular tunes from the new LP, Whitney. Love Is a Contact Sport was a bouncy slice of Motown-inspired pop. On I'm Saving All My Love for You, she stretches the phrases, adding more drama. At one point, she held a long note and drew enthusiastic applause from the crowd of more than 50,000. Miss Houston's recorded work reflects a strong hit-making approach. Her live set had a much more impromptu, human quality. She appeared on the July 6th cover of Jet magazine with copy that read, Can her new album and new tour top the first? In the article, she is quoted as saying, I just don't think about it in terms of trying to do better than before or trying to outdo what I did before. It's a matter of just being the best you can be. You do have apprehension, but if you get into that, oh God, this has to be this or this has to be that, you lose the magic and the creativity that goes along with it. You lose what it's all about. It's not mandatory that I sell 13 or 14 million copies worldwide. What is mandatory is that I continue to stay healthy so that I can make records. That month, she also appeared in Time magazine's July 13th issue with a headline that crowned her the prom queen of soul. The article also mentions her friend turned personal assistant and roommate Robin Crawford, and rumors that they were, well, more than friends. After 15 stops on her tour, On August 2nd, she performed at the Special Olympics Summer Game opening ceremonies at the University of Notre Dame. That month also saw the release of the second single from the set, written by a previous collaborator, Michael Masser and Will Jennings, entitled Didn't We Almost Have It All? On August 27th, the RIAA certified her second album gold, platinum, and double platinum for $2 million in sales. The single, which had the Jermaine Jackson duet Shock Me as its B-side, debuted on the Hot 100 at number 50. It was singled out in an aforementioned Rolling Stone review as a showstopper that builds into a crescendo. Eric Snyder and Annalise Wamsley described the song as an overblown tune that strips Houston of subtlety. The single had no video in the vein of I Wanna Dance With Somebody. Instead, a videotape performance of the song at her September 2nd Saratoga Springs, New York tour stop was aired on MTV, BET, and VH1. By September 26th, the single peaked at number 1 on the Hot 100, making her the first black musical act since the Supremes to have 5 consecutive number 1 singles on the pop charts. The song was also an international hit, charting in the United Kingdom, Switzerland, West Germany, Spain, the Netherlands, Ireland, Iceland, Australia, Canada, Belgium, and Denmark. The following month, Arista released the third single from the set, a dance pop rock song written by Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly, entitled So Emotional. The duo behind the single, who composed hits such as Like a Virgin by Madonna, produced the demo So Emotional with Prince in mind. When super producer Nerida Michael Walden got a hold of the track, it was completely reworked and got the approval of Rolling Stone's mouthpiece, Mick Jagger, who danced to the track upon hearing it in the studio. The music video was shot on October 22nd at Stabler Arena in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. 2,500 fans were admitted by free tickets given away at record shops, and the video mainly features Houston in jeans, a white tank, and a leather jacket, or in a blazer and miniskirt, performing the song with a band in front of a cheering crowd. It premiered on MTV 4 days later and received intense airplay, like all her other videos. That month, she also appeared on the cover of US Weekly with her mother, Cissy Houston, and on the cover of Ebony magazine, alongside Janet Jackson and Anita Baker, with copy that read, "Who's the Greatest?" and an article that strangely tried to size up 3 totally different artists. The single debuted on the Hot 100 at number 47 for the week of October 31st. By December, the single was in the top 10, and by the new year, was the number 1 song in the US, her 6th consecutive number 1. That same month, she co-hosted the 1987 Power Hits New Year's Eve Countdown, a countdown of the top 30 songs of 1987 selected by Radio and Records magazine. She also performed Didn't We Almost Have It All and a remixed version of So Emotional during the telecast. Of course, with a new year comes a new award season. On January 25th, at the 15th American Music Awards, she received 3 nominations, winning Favorite Pop Rock Song for I Wanna Dance With Somebody and Favorite Pop Artist.
It demonstrates or shows me that my peers and other people, like you. They love you for what you do. They love to listen to you. They enjoy your work, and that's what it's all about. That means a whole lot.
In addition, Diet Coke went all out to create a new commercial featuring her talents. It's true that the hectic pace of the last year has had an effect on this singer.
It's made me a lot stronger, and I don't know.
She's grown.
Yeah.
She's grown.
I'm a lot more, I think, secure, with myself, and I don't know, kids don't pick on me anymore.
Whitney is now looking to something completely different, and moviegoers may soon see her up on the big screen.
I'm just running through a whole lot of scripts right now. I'm just looking for that right one, and I haven't quite come across it yet. I've come close, but not quite. So when that happens, then you'll see me on the super screen, I guess.
On March 2nd, she performed I Wanna Dance with Somebody at the Grammy Awards. That night, she was nominated and won for Best Pop Female Vocal Performance for I Wanna Dance with Somebody. She was also nominated for Album of the Year. That month also saw the release of the fourth single from Whitney, entitled Where Do Broken Hearts Go?, which was written by Chuck Jackson of The Independents and Frank Wildhorn. The single debuted on the Hot 100 at number 47, and on the week of April 23rd, 1988, it was her 7th consecutive number 1, the most by any artist, a record that she still holds. The music video, directed by Peter Arelson, who directed the Greatest Love video, was shot in Newark. It mirrors the song's themes of love and heartbreak and stirred controversy due to the light complexion of her male lead, alleged to have been her real boyfriend, Brad Johnson. Later that month, she received 2 nominations at the Soul Train Awards, winning for Best Female Album. The next single, entitled Love Will Save the Day, was released 2 months later. The song was written by the underrated Tony C and produced by John Benitez, which gave the song an undeniable Latin flavor. The LA Times described the song as a hollow dance track that tried to mix social comment with dance floor vigor. In contrast, the Rolling Stone described it as the only song to even remotely acknowledge the problems of the world at large and the most vivaciously percussive track on the record. The St. Petersburg Times called it a unique tune on an extremely mainstream album. Its lively Afro-Cuban flavor, driven by a wall of clattering percussion, is truly joyous. On June 11th, she performed at Wimbledon Stadium in the UK for Freedom Fest, a concert held for then imprisoned Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday.
I've been hearing your heartbeat inside of me. I keep your photograph beside my bed. Living in a world of fantasies. I can't get you out of my head, no, no. I've been waiting for the phone to ring all night. The way you wanna make me feel so good. I got a love of my own, babe. I shouldn't get so hung up on you. I remember the way that we touched. I wish I did like it so much. I get so emotional, baby. Every time I think of you, I get so emotional. And it's shocking what love can do.
Townsend backstage with Whitney Houston. Hi, Whitney.
Hi,
Welcome to Freedom Fest. I'd just like to ask simply, how does it feel to be a part of this?
It feels great to be part of this particular event. I'm enjoying being here to celebrate Nelson Mandela's birthday, and it's more than a pleasure to be here, really. It feels just so good to be here and to see everybody come out and celebrate this thing. And the people, we could be doing anything in the world we wanted to do right now, but this is what's important right now, and I love it. I love it.
Do you think it's important for entertainers like yourself to come to events like this because you know you can influence people?
Sure. I think it's important that they know that we are aware and that we do care. And that's why we're here. And I think it's great that 60,000 people just come out and just say, just happy birthday. I mean, that's what it's all about. I love it. I love it.
For the week ending July 2nd, Love Will Save the Day debuted on the pop charts at number 52. It became her 9th consecutive top 10 single in just under 10 weeks, making her the 3rd act after Brenda Lee and Madonna to reach that achievement. It also peaked at number 5 on the R&B charts, her 11th consecutive top 10 R&B single, and her 10th top 5 R&B single. The song was also successful in Canada, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, Spain, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, among others. On August 27th, Whitney performed at Madison Square Garden for the UNCF. Later that evening, she received a plaque for Whitney going 6 times platinum and, 7 ones for her historical 7 consecutive number ones on the Hot 100.
A party followed the concert at Rockefeller Center, where Whitney proved she did have it all. She was honored because her latest album, Whitney, has gone platinum 6 times over, and she's the only artist ever to have 7 consecutive number 1 hits, beating out the Beatles, Elvis, and the Rolling Stones.
I thank you all. I love you all, and God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Despite the honors, Whitney told Entertainment Tonight that the biggest joy of the evening was that this concert would benefit the United Negro College Fund.
I've been associated with UNCF for a long time now, and I decided that if I was going to do anything, that I would do it here at home for the United Negro College Fund. And that was it.
Whitney's friends and family applauded that decision.
It was great. It raised a lot of money, too, so that makes it all worth it.
The show itself was absolutely fabulous. I love her. I think she's fantastic. I think she's great, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
And she simply has not left the charts since. We caught up with her recently so that you could ask the questions.
Hi, Whitney. My name is Jermaine, and I'm a rapper, and I would like to know how would I go about it to get to the top, just like all the other rappers did, and get to it without getting jerked, you know, with my contract and all.
You get lawyers. Oh, I don't know. Just know that you can be jerked around, you know, and you have to be careful of that. You have to have and speculate everything that's been written in paper in the fine print.
Hi, Whitney. This is Eric. I was always wondering about, like, how you keep in shape.
How do I keep in shape? I eat when I'm hungry. And I don't know, my metabolism just is that way. I wish I could tell you I work out every day and I go through all these, you know, dramatic changes, but I don't. My metabolism works that way.
Hi, Whitney. My name's Alicia. I'm from New Jersey. I'm wondering, now that you're rich and famous, do you still keep in touch with all your old friends from Jersey?
No, no. Those who are my friends, yeah. I still do keep in touch with most of them, sure.
Hi, Whitney. Do you dance on your bed alone at night?
Yeah, I do. Do I dance alone on my bed? It's weird. If I get the feeling to do that, sure I do. I get up and I start boogieing on my bed. Why not? This year I did the opening ceremonies for the Special Olympics. I was asked by the Shrivers themselves to be involved. It took place in Indiana on the Notre Dame campus. And it was like something like I'd never seen before in my life. I mean, we've got thousands and thousands of children that are supposed to be handicapped, and, you know, they were running around and just so full of spirit. And these kids were so involved and were so happy and so full of life, you know. It was great to see it. It really made me cry, really, you know. It was great to see.
You've said in the past that what you see is what you get with Whitney Houston, but how much of yourself do you keep in reserve?
Oh, God. What you see is what you get. How much do I keep? I try really hard to keep my private life to myself, because that seems to be all that I have. Everything else belongs to the world and to the public. So that piece of my life I really like to myself, because it matters to me. It's very important. You know, once you are exposed in so many different ways, there is something that I think you must have for yourself. Not everything belongs to the public.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that doesn't belong to your public, or two things, are your cats. Is it true that you bought a first-class ticket for them to fly on an airplane?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I did buy a first-class ticket for my cats to fly, because I didn't want them to go underneath the plane. I'm just very sensitive that way. I can't bear to fly a flight and know my cats are underneath it, so I bought a first-class ticket for my cats. Yes, that's very true.
The next single, released by the label, was actually not on her second album. Entitled One Moment in Time, written by Albert Hammond and John Batiste, produced by Nerida Michael Walden, the song was recorded and released as a promo song for the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, as well as its accompanying album. Despite this, it was a top 5 hit on the US pop charts, while also charting in Australia, Austria, Canada, Denmark, Europe, Finland, France, Iceland, Ireland, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Quebec, South Africa, Spain, West Germany, and the UK. The final single from her album, I Know Him So Well, a duet with Whitney's mother, Sissy, was only released in Spain, Germany, Australia, and the Netherlands in November of 1988. Due to this limited release, the single was not promoted as heavily as the other singles from the album. That month also saw the conclusion of her second world tour, which grossed over 3 times the first. On December 14, 1988, she performed the national anthem at the Brendan Byron Arena in New Jersey, where the Los Angeles Lakers would take on the Brooklyn Nets.
Whitney Houston.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we won were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the
With all the good fortune that came from her second album, it is almost easy to forget that she was booed during her segment of the announcement of nominees for Best Video at the Soul Train Awards in 1988.
Janet Jackson, Control.
Michael Jackson, the way you make me feel.
I need a man.
Whitney Houston, I want to dance with somebody.
The same thing would also happen the following year during her nomination for Best R&B Adult Contemporary Song at the 1989 Soul Train Awards. In fact, Reverend Al Sharpton, whose involvement with civil rights stretches back to his teen years, used his platform as the founder of the National Youth Conference to call for the boycott of Whitney Houston.
A lot of your black audience has been a little bit critical in the last year about your singing songs that were less in the soul tradition or in the gospel tradition, and you went a little too far to the pop side. How do you feel about that kind of criticism?
I don't know. What do they want? What do they want me to do? I don't think that I don't really get involved into that kind of thing. You know, I think music is music. You know, I mean, how do I sing more black, or how do I sing? What am I doing that's making me sound white? I don't understand. You know, I'm singing music from my heart, from my soul, and that's it. So I don't really think it's an issue in my life.
Despite making Black history, being the first Black woman to have an album debut at #1 and setting a record for the most consecutive #1s, the community she felt she pledged the strongest allegiance to seemingly disowned her. That night is also memorable because she was seated near R&B crooner and ex-New Edition member Bobby Brown, leading to his invitation to her 26th birthday party at her grand Newark home.
Hi, what's your name? Bobby Brown. Bobby, what brings you around these parts here? Whitney. She invited me. I'm having a great time. I just want to say happy birthday, Whitney. You're doing great. I wish I could be like you one day. Thank you.
I love this party. I mean, I had a ball. I mean, everybody that came had a good time, I hope. The people who did the catering, who did the decorations were wonderful. I thank them. I had a ball. I had such a good time.
I heard you were up all night cooking all this stuff up.
You know I did. You know I cooked all this food. No, you kidding?
What kind of folks did you invite here tonight? Who are these people?
A lot of them are the colleagues in my business, you know, a lot of superstars, you know. Who else? Record company people, program directors, friends, neighbors, family. Just a celebration.
In November of 1989, at age 26, with 2 multi-platinum selling albums under her belt, Whitney Houston, having taken a year off, was gearing up not only to record her 3rd album, but to prove to the world that she was no Whitey Houston.
Not too long ago, I was in Detroit. I did a radio show. For over an hour, about 30 calls came in. They really just wanted to know, well, what is the story of Whitney? Is she gay or is she not?
Whitney is not gay. That is a story on that. I'm particular, that's all. I'd rather wait, you know, instead of spreading myself too thin. I don't know why people think that you have to be, running around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry there is. I'm just not. I was not raised that way. I just wasn't. Nobody in my family was. My mother didn't rear me like that, so that is the basis for that. But Whitney is not gay. The only gayness I feel is when I'm happy, honey, that's it.
How would you like to see your work continue to unfold? What are the goals that you have?
I guess one of my goals is just to stay a good human being and to be a good person. And, I don't know, just get married, have some kids, you know, do something different besides me for music, movies, that kind of thing, you know. That's my next step, you know, as far as my goals are concerned. But to basically just stay level-headed, you know, and to not have all this take me, you know, around the world in 80 days and come back somebody else, you know. I like who I am.